Today is July 26, 2012. We're at the Shields project. My name is Bert Adams. I'm with KHI Mechanical. We're going to be going over the fan coils. There are two fan coils in the building. They're both in the entryways on the north end and the south end. We are currently in the south end. This would be considered area A, and the other one would be in what's area B. They're located above the ceiling grid.
The purpose?
Oh, its purpose is to heat this entry area in the wintertime. The fans will run continuously as soon as it's 60 degrees or less outside, and then the heat will come on according to space temperature. Same at both ends.
Bert, is there any cooling with the fan coils? Will it pull in the retail space there in the year?
The question was about cooling. They do not have cooling, and from what I read on the spec, it is only to run when it is 60 degrees outside or lower. So the fan does have a return that goes into the main retail space, but it will not be running during the summer hours to bring any of that cool air in. These will only run as soon as it's 60 degrees or less outside.
Unless you change that set point.
Unless that set point is changed
and then you could
in the
drop
building automation.
here, right?
Yes.
If you were to change that set point to 85, then you would draw cool air into here.
Right.
You know.
But I don't know how those controls are actually set up. I don't know if at that point the space temperature is also changed where it would be wanting to keep it 85. I don't know what the set point would actually be on the building automation. I don't know if that's something that can be adjusted separately. That would be something that we would need to talk to Train about.
Talk to Train about it, but I think that is one intention. One of the design intents is that they would be able to. It's not going to cool, but it could draw cool air from the retail space into here in the summertime. The place is hot.
That would be a good idea. I think that would be a very good idea to do that. Try and keep the space somewhat conditioned in the summertime because it will be warmer out here. The unit is located right up above us here. This is the fan coil. In this compartment right here is where our actual fan motor is at. It is belt driven. Quarterly it would be a good idea to check these belts, check the condition of them, see if there's any kind of cracking, glazing. Also it would be a good idea to check the sheaves, make sure that they're not wearing out. There are grease zerks in there for the bearings for the fan shaft. Every 6 months, give it a couple of shots of grease. Manufacturer didn't have a specific recommendation on a certain type of grease, but if you do use one type of grease, stick with that same type of grease. Some of the other units that we had in the building required a certain type of grease. I would say pick one and stick with it throughout your building. Right up here is the control for the fan. This compartment here is the heater. This is an electric heat fan coil. The heating elements would run through this compartment. Right up on this panel, there is the disconnect switch. That would shut the whole unit down. That would be your only way to power this down aside from the breaker panel, which is actually for fan coil 1, it's in panel HH1B. It would be the breaker for 17, 19, and 21. And then fan coil 2 at the other end would be in panel HH1C, and it would be the circuit breaker 18, 20, and 22. So two ways to shut it down would be either at the breaker panel or at the unit itself. This isn't a quick access up here. It'd probably be significantly quicker to run to the breaker panel and actually shut that breaker down. Up in this heater compartment, there are some contactors in there for the heating elements. When you're going through your regular service, shut the power down to it, check your contactors, make sure your terminals are tight, there's no issues with the wiring, check for any kind of arc burns, things like that. It would be a good idea, quarterly, just to make sure all your terminals are still tight. These, from what the spec is, these will only be running for probably, well, here in Utah, probably up to 8 months out of the year. So it will be operating frequently. There will be a time period there where it will not be running unless they change the way that the fan's going to run throughout the summertime. If they were going to draw fresh air into here, well, air from the retail space. Up in this compartment here, this is our filter access. And there is a 16 by 20 by 2 filter and a 16 by 16 by 2 filter. And that's the same on both fan coil units. There is some extra belts that we will be providing for attic stock. And there's an extra set of filters for both fan coil units that we will be providing for attic stock. These units do have a 2-year warranty on them. And that's all I can think of.
Bert, is there a separate disconnect that Steve had to mount for the fan portion of this? Because wasn't there in the turnout we had to have a separate power supply for the fan?
We do just have the one power supply, and it's all shut down at the one disconnect on our heater panel.
Okay.
I think you're referring to the air curtains.
Is it the air curtain that had that?
Got some extra.
What's that disconnect right there?
That is for the air curtain.
They got one there too, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are both for the air curtain.
Yeah, there's a heating
We'll go over
element.
that.
There's a heating element and a fan element to the air curtain.
I couldn't remember the fan coil.
How do you pull the filters out? Is there just the door?
This panel here, there's the 4 screws. 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. And they are a 3/8. So you'd have to have a 3/8 chuck. We had a question about greasing the bearings. You do have to open up the panel. I'm going to point that panel out to you right here. This panel right here, when you open that up, that will have your drive motor. It will have your pulleys, your belt, and your bearings that you will need to grease. It's also a good idea to check your set screws on your sheaves and on your fan blade itself. Make sure that those are tight when you're doing your maintenance on it.